Hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so shall we start because we don't have much time? Okay. Um, Yesterday we had started classification systems, and then we talked about like what is a need, why do we need to classify, and we talked about we need to classify because it introduces order and it helps us to distinguish one diagnosis from or one illness from another, and it helps us to facilitate communication among clinicians regarding diagnosis, treatment, and prognosis. It leads to consensus among clinicians, different clinicians, and it also helps us to predict the outcome of a illness, and it also helps us to choose an appropriate treatment. And lastly, it ensures that clinical research can be conducted with a comparable group of patients. So these are some of the reasons which, because of which we need to classify mental health or mental illnesses. Okay. So fastly, okay, I'll just start screen share. Yes. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So,
Yes,
yeah. So yesterday, I think we got a cutoff while we were discussing. There are two more main or important classificatory systems which we follow around the world, and those two systems are ICD and DSM. Okay. So full form of ICD is International Classification of Diseases. Okay. So before coming to that, we need to what is a mental disorder? So day before yesterday we talked about what is abnormal behavior, isn't it? So now we need to know what is a mental disorder, because this is what we are going to classify different types of mental disorders under these classificatory systems. Okay, so a mental disorder is a syndrome characterized by clinically significant disturbance in an individual's cognition. Cognition is thinking, emotion regulations, that is, the person faces problems while regulating his emotions or behavior. Okay, so significant difference or I'm sorry, significant disturbance in a person's thinking, balancing his emotions, regulating his emotions, and behavior. Okay, if there is disturbance observed in these three areas, that reflects, because of these disturbances, it reflects a dysfunction in his psychological, biological, or developmental process. That is what we call it as mental disorder. Okay, so mental disorders are associated with significant subjective distress or impairment in social, occupational, or other important activities of a person's life. Okay, so this is what we call as mental disorder. Now, yesterday we talked about, I was telling you there are two important classificatory systems which are followed, and the one which is, one is ICD, and definition of the full form, not definition, the full form of ICD is International Classification of Diseases. So, as the name itself suggests, ICD is, published by WHO, and it is, see, the name itself is suggesting International Classification of Diseases. So that means under this classification system, it is not just, you're classifying mental illnesses or behavioral problems. This classification system includes uh, all medical conditions, be it physical health illnesses and mental disorders. There is one chapter dedicated to mental disorders under ICD. Okay, so International Classification of Diseases (ICD) is a classificatory system which includes all physical illnesses, all medical illnesses, all biological illnesses. Okay, under which, and in this classification system, one chapter is given or dedicated to mental health issues. Okay, clear on this? I need some sort of a feedback. I feel as if
yes,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We are clear.
okay. So, so that is what ICD is, International Classification classification of diseases. Okay, so ICD, uh, this classification under this, excuse me, just a second. There is this problem with. Okay, so this ICD is maintained by, as I told you, WHO, that is World Health Organization. Okay, so this is main, WHO is the main directing and coordinating authority for health in the uh, United Nations system. Okay, so this ICD is originally designed as a healthcare classificatory system. It provides a system of diagnostic codes for classifying all diseases. Okay, it gives you diagnostic codes. It has certain chapters, or you can say categories, under which with different disorders, based on their similarities, different disorders are clustered under those categories. Okay, and all these categories, they are being given codes, alphanumeric codes are given. Okay, so this it includes classification of wide variety of signs, symptoms, abnormal findings, complaints, social circumstances, any causes of injury or a disease. So this system, this classificatory system ICD, is designed to map health conditions to uh, their corresponding categories together with specific variations. Okay, so and these categories are assigned a code up to 6 characters long. Okay, so for example, like ICD 10, ICD, now that we are into ICD 11. So ICD 10, these are different editions. Okay, so the first during 1900s, the first ICD, now we are in its 11th revision. Okay, so the first ICD, International Classification System, was first introduced during 1900s. Okay, and in around almost 1860 or something like that. Okay, so then there were revisions, there were additions based on new scientific discoveries, new discoveries of diseases and their treatment. So they have like accordingly they have revised their version. Okay, so in 1900s, ICD-1 was first introduced. Then in 1909, ICD-2 came up. 1920, ICD-3. Like that. So in 1993, ICD-10 uh, was introduced. Okay. So in ICD-10 is something which we have followed till now. Now we have its 11th revision, which was officially, it came into effect in 2022. So till 2022, we were following ICD-10. Okay, so this is basically a part of so our mental health in ICD-10. We were given chapter 5 was given for mental mental health illnesses, behavioral. Basically, our chapter 5 was given for.
Sports mandatory. I mean, are they play an important role in our course study? Like, do we
What?
have to learn about which code is developed in which year? Do we have to?
No, see, yes, because it's because they are talking about the whole history of classification. If you will just look at the book, you don't have to go in such depth, and that's why, I
Just the present one.
fastly I was just giving you some basic idea of ICD 1, 2, and then straight away I went to ICD 10. Okay.
Okay, 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 ma'am.
Understood. So at least
Yes,
you need
ma'am.
to know when this ICD was introduced. And ICD-10 is very important because till 2022 we were following ICD-10. Now
Yes.
also still many of the clinicians we still follow ICD-10 because it just been 2 years, ICD-11, and ICD-11 lot of changes has been introduced. So we're still following ICD-10. So this ICD-10, under ICD-10 chapter 5. Okay, chapter 5 was given to. I'm sorry, my throat is today. I was under the sun. Anyways, so ICD-10, as I was saying, chapter 5 uh, is where, like, the mental health disorder, classification of mental disorders, or basically our chapter was given, was in chapter 5. Okay, so here, like, there is, as I told you, there is alphanumeric coding is given. So under chapter 5, we have, like, we have different types of mental health conditions. For example, anxiety disorders, mood disorders, psychotic disorders like schizophrenia. Then we have psychological disorders of personality, and then we have psychological disorders of childhood, mental retardation. So under chapter 5, different sections have been dedicated, or basically different categories have been given. Okay, so these categories, alphanumeric coding was given. For example, F F0 to F99 is this alphanumeric coding was given from F0. I mean, we would be using F0 to F99. Okay, so F0 to F9. So these 9 disorders, they come under the first F0 to F9. I would really request you all to just go, because this ICD is freely available from WHO. Okay, so first have a look at ICD-10. Okay, so then you will understand what basically I'm trying to tell you. So alphanumeric coding is like, there is one category of disorders which come under organic mental disorders. Okay, because of organic brain, so your dementia, delirium, all those things, they will come under. So the first cluster, basically, this organic disorders, F0 to F9. So these numbers are given. Okay, yes. Okay, so like that, alphanumeric. So there is alphabet F, and then from 0 to 9, all the disorders belonging to organic brain dysfunctions. Then F10 to F19, these were the disorders due to substance abuse. Then F20 to F25, schizophrenia. Then F30 to F39. Okay, so the 9 disorders under this, mood disorders. Okay, so like that, alphanumeric coding was given. Now, ICD-11. ICD-11, they have made certain changes, and they have used a different set of coding. Okay, under ICD-11, what they have done is chapter 6.
Sorry, ma'am.
They have removed. Yes.
Ma'am, this F0 to F19, these are all under ICD-10, right?
Yes, ICD-10. Now
Okay.
okay, so now ICD-11, we have been given chapter 6. Basically, they have made some changes with this coding. They have made some changes in the coding. So the disorders which, excuse me, is, is in under 6, chapter
Chapter.
6, if you can just call it as chapter 6. Okay. So, for example, I'll just tell you, even I am getting familiar with it because just been introduced recently. So, if you will ask me about ICD-10, I can tell you all this. See, if when you go on do your clinical course, all this coding, all these numbers, they have to be, this whole book, this whole chapter has to be in your head. Okay. So, for example, they have still maintained alphanumeric coding, but see, this number, F0 to F99, and in these numbers, like, if you can say, from 0 to 99, all the disorders were mentioned. Now they made some changes, and they have introduced, they have put mental illnesses under 6, if you can just call it as a chapter 6, and they have gone with the coding of A, B, C, D, like that. Okay, clusters. So they have, like, for example, they have categorized anxiety disorders or fear related disorders under, there is chapter 6 dedicated for all mental illnesses in the ICD, and then so 6B. Okay, rather than just having what they have, ICD-10 had F number for all the disorders, and then I'm sorry, F alphabet for all the disorders, and then they would have this, the numbers would, there will be a list of numbers, like, according to the numbers would, like, increase from 0 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, like that. Now, what they have done is, this chapter 6, under which the whole mental illnesses are there, so that 6 is there, and then for example, anxiety disorders, what they have done is B, they have given rather than continuing with the numbers, they have put B and then 00 for generalized anxiety disorder. There are different set of anxiety disorders. Okay, so then 6B00, 6B01 is panic disorder, 6B02 is agoraphobia. Like that. Understood the difference? If you'll just go on internet now, you will see what I'm actually talking about. Okay, so I can actually, how do I show it to you?
Means ICD-11 only talks about anxiety. I
No,
did
no,
not.
I'm just giving that as an example. All the disorders are
Okay.
covered. No, no,
Okay.
not anxiety, just anxiety. Okay,
Okay. Okay.
okay. I gave that as a just as an example. Let me see if I can access on the internet. It is freely available. Okay, so international this because it is being published by WHO, it is freely available. You don't have to buy it. But the difference is DSM, the other classificatory system, Diagnostic and Statistical Manual. You need to buy that. Okay, that is it is not it is produced by American Psychiatric Association. Okay, so if I can just see now, I'm just trying to access. Okay, yeah. Let me see if I can share the screen with you all. Yeah. Okay. Can you see this? My page, internet, where I've just accessed ICD. Did you, can you see this?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. So now you
Yes.
can see this. This is the ICD. Okay. I am on the WHO site. So as you can see, this is a classificatory system. So, and which includes all types of illnesses, physical health, physical illnesses, mental illnesses, the physicians all over the world, even in US, like the whole world follows this classificatory system only. Understood? So even so you just because a DSM is produced by US doesn't mean that US does not follow this. US also follows this system only. Okay, so now you can see this chapter one has infectious diseases, then chapter two has neoplasm, chapter three has blood diseases of blood, like that chapters are there. Now chapter six, you can see this chapter is our chapter, mental, behavioral, or neurodevelopmental disorders. Okay, so so chapter six, clear on this six ICD. So when I'm clicking on this, okay, so chapter six has this. I hope I'll be able to access the whole this thing. Mm. So chapter six, like let us take it take one. So chapter six. So they will have you will be using six because see this coding is important because if any clinician anywhere in the world, if you will just give a coding, okay, six, and beside six you will write an alphabet H A00 like that. So he will know which dysfunction that we are talking about. Okay, so this is coded elsewhere. Why am I, it doesn't have, why am I not able to access this? You don't have to click pictures, just go on the internet and you can access ICD-10. ICD-11, I mean to say. I just want to show you that coding, which the same disorders which they are talking, I mean, describing under ICD-10, apart from few changes and the coding changes, they are using the same thing. So, anyways, there is some PPT has opened up. I don't know what is this. Just want to show you
What
something.
I
You have that book with you? See, this is how it used to be in ICD-10. Okay, so under chapter 5, we would use F and then 0 to 9. Under 0, from 0 to 9, we would have organic disorders. Okay, then from F10 to they are like, I don't know why this person is writing it like this. Okay, so we would have mental disorders due to psychoactive substance use. Okay, F10 to F19. Okay, then F schizophrenia, schizotypal, and delusion disorders would be from F20 to F25. Okay, like that we would have. Okay, then for mood disorders, it would be from F30, not F3, F30 to F39. Okay, like that. This is how we used to code. Okay, so now why he is using 5, it is 6. Okay, anyways, but see this as 6, not 5. Okay, this some PPT has opened up, but helpfully. So rather than that F which you saw earlier, what they have done is made it into 6. Okay, under chapter 6. So 0, 6, and then A. A would be from A00 like that. From A would be neurodevelopmental disorders. Then second comes schizophrenia. Okay, like that they have changed. Anyways, go on. I would suggest, as we don't have much time, just go on the internet and access WHO website. Okay, so it will help you to basic understand what I'm talking about. Okay, because more than this, I need to teach you. How do I access this? Yeah. Are you able to see this PPT?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So let's come back to this. Okay. So WHO produce it, is responsible for ICT. Understand? So within each category specific, there are different categories, and within each category specific subcategories or diseases belongs to those categories are introduced in ICD. Okay, then comes our DSM. DSM is Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. Okay, and this is published by APA, as I just told you. Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Illnesses or Mental Disorders is published by American Psychiatric Association, and it serves as a common language and standard category criteria for classification of mental disorders. Now, the most important difference between ICD and DSM is, as I told you, ICD contains classifications of all diseases, be it physical health, mental illnesses, physical health, all diseases belonging to physical and mental health. But DSM, as it is produced by American Psychiatric Association, it is only concerned with mental disorders. Okay, it has nothing to do with physical illnesses, physical health issues, nothing. Okay, so this classificatory system is exclusively dedicated to mental disorders only. Okay, and again, this is so this forms as a main guide for mental health providers in US only. We use DSM to understand DSM, as a reference purpose to understand a little bit more about the psychiatric disorders, I mean, mental disorders. But all over the world, if you are giving an official diagnosis, we use ICD. Okay, DSM is not the official classificatory system adopted by the world. It is used only in US, but but then we learn it for learning purposes, for research purposes. We use for understanding mental disorders. We use DSM. Am I clear on this? This is used in US only. Okay, so this was first developed by US Army in 1952, and this manual involved from collecting census and psychiatric hospital statistics data. By collecting that data, they developed this classificator system. There have been 5 revisions since it was first published, and the fourth edition, DSM-4, was published in 1994. Then its text revision was produced in 2000, and DSM-5 was published in May 2013. Okay, so this has DSM-5 has chapters. Let me just have this. Now, can you see this? Yeah. So DSM, before talking about this, uh, so the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, often we call it as DSM as a short form, is a reference book on mental health and brain-related conditions and disorders. And American Psychiatric Association is responsible for its writing, editing, and revising and publishing of this book. So this number 5 attached is refers to which edition the book is in. Okay, so number 4 means fourth edition, and then TR means text revision of that edition. So now currently we are in fifth edition. Okay, that is why DSM 5. The number 5 means we are using I mean fifth edition, and now there has in 2022 they have come up with its text revision also. So now currently they are using DSM-5 TR. TR means text revision. Okay, some little bit more revisions they have added in 2022, and now the name has become DSM-5 TR. Okay, so these are DSM-5, DSM-5 TR are medical reference books intended for experts and professionals. Even ICD, it's also, when we are talking about these classificatory systems or books, ICD, be it ICD or DSM, they are medical reference books, and they are mainly intended not for common people, not for laymen, intended for trained experts and professionals, okay, clinicians. Then this contents in this book is in these books are very technical, so the people who are still people who aren't belong who don't belong to medical or mental health professions may still find it interesting and educational. However, as a caution, I am, because you're doing this counseling course, so this is just this lesson is, it's just a tip of the iceberg, if I can just say. Okay, so you shouldn't my caution is you shouldn't use these books as a substitute for seeing a trained qualified mental health profession. Okay, you're not yet trained in this. There are years and years dedicated in learning and getting trained. Okay, so what is the purpose of DSM-5? So first step is treating any mental health condition. Okay. And when I'm talking about this, I'm also talking about ICD also. So be it a physical condition or a mental health condition, first step to any mental illness or physical illness is treatment. And before treating, you have to understand, you have to diagnose this condition, isn't it? So that's where these classificatory system they come in. They provide a clear, highly detailed definition of these mental health and brain related conditions. So they also provide details and examples of what are the signs and symptoms of those conditions. And by using this information, you can diagnose this condition. And once you diagnose, then your treatment will come into place. Okay. So in addition to defining and explaining conditions, DSM and ICD, what they also do is they organize those conditions into groups. So that will help to make it easier for healthcare providers to accurately diagnose conditions and tell them apart from one condition showing similar signs and symptoms from another condition. It will help you to basically pinpoint, tell apart exactly where these signs and symptoms belong, what diagnosis the person will have. Okay. Now, how was this DSM-5 was created? DSM-5 was created by American Psychiatric Association by gathering information or taking advice from more than 160 mental health care professions around the world, including psychiatrists, clinical psychologists, experts from any other professional fields. And hundreds of other professionals also contributed and assisted in publishing, basically developing this book. So for DSM-5 TR, American Psychiatric Association called on many experts who were involved in initial DSM-5 release. So more than 200 professionals contributed to DSM-5 TR. So what does DSM-5 TR mainly, what topics does it cover? It mainly focuses on mental health conditions. However, because mental health and brain, as I told you, we were talking about medical model, and medical model believes that behavioral disorders or mental health conditions are because of uh, imbalance in the brain chemistry or something going wrong in there is structural abnormality in the brain. So you cannot separate mental health conditions and brain functions. So that is why DSM also covers conditions. Even ICD also covers conditions related to how the brain works. And those conditions are, we call them as organic brain dysfunctions like dementia, delirium. Those categories also come under uh, this classificatory system. Okay, and uh, DSM contains diagnostic codes, and which makes it easier to cross-reference with ICD. Okay, so they have made a lot of effort to see to it to remove as much of differences as possible from these two classificatory systems, so that they have tried to increase the similarity between these two classificatory systems. And DSM-5 has three sections. Okay, section 1 contains DSM-5 basics. Basically, this section contains how medical professions should use the book. It also includes guiding how you no basically it's sort of a manual, like it includes guidance on how using the DSM-5 and mental health concern involved. There are some ethical issues are there, legal issues are there, court cases are there, and they have to go and give some sort of a testimony. So this is serves as a guidance, section 1. It covers the basics. Section 2 includes the main diagnostic, basically classification, basically diagnostic criteria and their codes. So under section 2, you will have all the disorders, their codes, their categories. Okay. So this section is the largest part of the book in DSM-5, and each chapters will it covers a condition with specific conditions defined and explained within that, like sub conditions under those specific conditions. So every as those conditions, their signs, their symptoms are clearly defined under that. And then section 3 contains any excuse me, emerging measures or models uh, which can be used. So this section contains information about specific assessment tools which will help in diagnostic purposes. So they have certain questionnaires or diagnostic assessment measures are contained in section 3 of DSM-5, which will help as guideline for diagnostic some critical conditions where the clinician is not clearly, clear on the diagnosis. So he can or she can use those measures to arrive at a diagnosis. And it also has information about how cultural differences can affect the diagnosis, and a chapter about conditions that can eventually later that might eventually go in a later version, DSM-6, if it comes. So eventually these disorders, that information is also contained in section 3. Okay, so this much information is enough for you. Okay, and DSM-5, is it available for public? No. I mean, yes, it is available if you buy it. Okay, so this is available for purchase in many bookstores and online stores. You can buy it, and some of the public libraries or universities might also be having a copy of it. So it is not freely accessible like ICT. ICT, you can just go on to WHO site, or you can just type on Google. It is freely available to you, but not DSM-5. You have to buy it. It is available, but then you need to buy it. Okay. So clear on
Ma'am,
this?
what about the
Hmm?
section 4 and 5, ma'am? Section
Only
4 and
three
5 of
sections.
DSM
Only three
5.
sections. Three sections under
You said 5.
DSM-5. No section 4 and 5.
Okay. Okay.
Three sections under DSM-5. Understood? Okay. So there are almost 20 chapters, as you can see on this side. There are slide. There are almost 20 chapters in DSM-5. Okay, and so you can just, if you can read, you can read the names of the chapters. So these are under each chapter, their subcategories, sub disorders are covered. Okay, so neurodevelopmental disorders, schizophrenia spectrum and other psychotic disorders, bipolar and related disorders, depressive disorders, anxiety disorders, obsessive. So previously, uh, can you see my cursor? Okay, so previously,
Yes, ma'am.
in previous version, under anxiety disorders, obsessive compulsive disorder were included under the obsessive OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder used to come under anxiety disorders. Now, what they have done in the latest version is they have removed obsessive compulsive disorder and given its own separate criteria, because they have found that OCD is a spectrum in itself. OCD is huge, vast. Okay, so they have removed OCD from under anxiety, and they've given it its own exclusive chapter. Then you have trauma and stressor related disorders. Again, this trauma and stressor related disorder used to come under anxiety disorder. Okay, PSTD, PTSD, I'm sorry. So then dissociative disorders, somatic symptoms, like that. Okay. So the number of total disorders, they have not increased any disorders, but what they have done is, they have reshuffled the disorders. So some disorders have now their own importance. They've recognized their own importance, and they've removed, for example, OCD from under anxiety disorders and given its own heading, its own chapter. So chapter neurodevelopmental disorder is the first name, is a new heading which contains autism spectrum disorders, intellectual developmental disorder, and hyperactivity disorder. So, and chapter on substance abuse, substance use and addictive disorders, will now they've included gambling also under this chapter. And they have recognized the importance of bipolar disorder and depressive disorders. Previously, what they used to do, there used to be a chapter called mood disorders. Under mood disorder, they will have bipolar and depression. Now they have split it. They have given bipolar as a separate chapter, depression as a separate chapter. Okay. So now fast, we will cover the similarities between ICD 5 and ICD 11 and DSM 5. So both similarities, both are diagnosis and categorizing manual requiring two or more symptoms to make a diagnosis. What does that mean? Just see, there is criteria. Okay. If somebody is talking, please don't talk.
Thomas, ma'am, can you please, Thomas Garu?
Okay. So, as I told you yeah, yesterday, that we don't have any tech instruments. We don't use any lab test or a scanning, blood test, and all that to give diagnosis. We actually arrive at diagnosis based on signs and symptoms of a particular illness. So, under these categories of disorders, there are criteria. There is a list of criteria, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 list of criteria is there. Okay, so under that list of signs and symptoms, uh, just because out of 10 the person is showing just one symptom, you cannot be over enthusiastic and give that person that diagnosis. Okay, so both diagnostic systems or classificatory systems, ICD and DSM, it requires more than two symptoms to make a diagnosis. And another similarity is both are not self-diagnosis manual. You cannot again and again and again, I'm telling it, it is not for the purpose of common man. It is not for the purpose of persons who are not specifically trained for it. Okay, you cannot self-diagnosis is very, very dangerous, and also going around diagnosing people. So it is intended for use by qualified mental health professionals, specifically clinical psychiatrists and clinical psychologists. Both are officially recognized manuals and used to categorize and diagnose mental disorders. Attempts are, as I told you, they are making a lot of attempts to harmonize these two diagnostic systems, these two classificatory systems. They are trying to increase the similarities between these two classificatory systems. Now coming to the differences between ICD and DSM. Okay, so what are the differences? Okay, you can see this table. Are you able to see this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So if you want, you can click a picture of this. Okay. So what are the differences between these two? As I was explaining, you yourself can come up with the differences. Okay. So I told you DSM is used mainly in America, USA. ICD is used internationally. Even officially, if you can say, ICD is an official classification system adopted by US also. But still, the psychiatrist and mental health professionals, they go with DSM. So DSM, another difference is DSM is a classification system purely for mental disorders. ICD is a manual which contains all diseases, all disorders, be it physical illnesses or mental illnesses. Okay, so only chapter 5, our mental disorder is included in one of its chapters. Okay, and DSM is published by one single professional body, that is American Psychiatric Association. ICD is brought out of international collaboration. Many countries, professionals, mental health professionals, experts, they come together from different countries, they collaborate on that, and then they come up with the publication of ICD. Okay, DSM is primarily used as a used by US psychiatrists. ICD is used by its use globally, and primary focus of ICD is on classification to help countries reduce the burden of mental disorders. Its development is global, multidisciplinary, and multilingual. So ICD is published in uh, all the languages, not just English. So DSM is approved
Ma'am,
by Assembly of, yes, somebody saying something.
yes, ma'am. Like when ICD is talking about both, again we have come up with DSM-5. What is the purpose? Like when ICD is talking about both mental and physical illnesses, what is the special reason why it has been developed?
By
As like mental illness, we may have another only specifically for physical illness too. Do we have like that?
I didn't get your question. Can you just repeat?
No,
I
ma'am.
didn't understand.
Actually, ICD
Hello? Hello?
About mental and physical illness.
The whole,
Hello, ma'am.
whatever you were saying,
Ma'am, can you hear me?
yeah,
Hello.
please, now you can say. Tell me.
Actually, ICD
Your voice is breaking up. Is it only me who's not
is
able to?
talking about mental and physical illness.
Yes,
Is this okay now?
yes.
Ma'am, when ICD is talking about mental and physical illnesses,
Hmm?
can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear. Please
And
continue.
DSM-5, uh, and DSM-5 is talking only about mental illness. What is the
Yes.
purpose of evolving this DSM-5 especially? Like
That
as
is why
like mental
American
illness
Psychiatric
DSM-5.
Association, they wanted to have their, yeah, I understood. When we already have an ICD, why we need that DSM? But then see,
Yes, yes.
US has its own, if uh, they want to do things differently, American Psychiatric Association, it wants to have its own book classification system, as simple as that.
Okay, then the any treatment we are giving in India or whether it is as per DSM-5 or ICD level.
ICD.
Okay.
All over the world, ICD only. Okay,
Even these
ICD is
people also.
adopted by the time ICD came up with its fifth revision, ICD 5, even America
Okay.
officially adopted it
Okay. Okay.
because it cannot be isolated, isn't it? It has to work with, collaborate and work with the other countries also. Okay, so,
Okay. Okay.
okay, understand.
Okay.
So, but
Thank you, ma'am.
see, thing is, ICD, DSM is, it's really good if you can have access to DSM. It's really good the way they have done work, explained signs and symptoms. So both books they have made equal contributions. Okay, so okay, understood. So this it is published,
Yes, ma'am.
revised, written by American Psychiatric Association. Okay, so when they want to come up with new editions or new publications, new revisions of their book, ICD has to, if it's coming up with new revision, World Health Assembly, which consists of 193 member countries, all of them together, they have to come and approve, then only new revision will come. But DSM, when they want to come up with their new version, it is approved by the American Psychiatric
Madam,
Association members.
madam,
Okay.
193 countries in America is also.
Huh?
193 countries
I
is
didn't hear. I didn't hear.
assembly.
What?
193 countries assembled ICD in ICD.
Huh.
193 countries, including America is also.
Yes, I think so. Because they have it has officially adopted by the time ICD 5 came. America has also adopted it. ICD. America uses ICD only for its physical illnesses. Okay. America is also part of World Health Assembly, isn't it? Am I clear on this?
Yes,
Clear.
ma'am.
Okay. So now the last difference is DSM is copyrighted and it generates income for American Psychiatric Association. That is why I said it is available, but you have to buy it. And but ICD is low cost and it is freely available on internet. If you want to buy a hard copy, you can just pay a very nominal amount of um, money, and you can buy ICD. Okay. Okay. So with this, we have finished your classificatory. Okay. Still, somebody is still talking. ICD DSM has criteria is very specific and very detailed. ICD is more of prototype descriptions with less detailed criteria and minimal background information to guide diagnosis.
Afsar garu, please.
Please be aware that your please mute your mics. You cannot. Okay, I'll try to shout over him. Anyways, so that is why I told you, isn't it? We even if DSM-4 is used only in US, it is still very a very good classification system. The criteria and the disorders have been explained in very detailed manner. So if you are interested in this profession as a mental health profession, I think he is communicating with me.
Afsar garu, please. Afsar garu. Ma'am, will you be able to remove him?
I don't know. Okay. So DSM has always been multi-axial, and in its fifth revision, that is the current revision, they have because I told you they want to increase the similarities. ICT has not been; it has always been non-axial, and DSM-5 in its fifth version, they have removed the axial system. What is axial? Axial is like previously when they used to give diagnosis, they would not just say like schizophrenia. They will like there are accesses. If I have time, I don't know, during your lessons I'll explain this axial system, but currently they have removed that axial system of diagnosis. So now like immediately whatever diagnosis, main diagnosis there, they are giving it as it is. Okay, so DSM has removed this axial system in its latest version, DSM-5. ICD has always been a non-axial, and DSM-5 is used by licensed mental health professionals with advanced degrees. ICD is, as I told you, readily accessible to wide range of healthcare professionals with wide educational backgrounds. So these are some of the differences between ICD and DSM. Okay. So with this, I thought maybe I'll just touch upon anxiety disorders. I don't know how am I going to, can we like, I was thinking if it's possible, maybe one day we can have like 1 hour more if I'm unable to complete your this thing.
Excuse me, madam.
Yeah, we can plan like that, madam. No problem.
Because see, I have a tendency to explain in depth, and I cannot like rush you because mental psychological disorders are very very important,
We are blessed,
and
ma'am.
I cannot just rush you through these things.
Excuse me, madam.
Yeah.
Ma'am, maybe one extra day.
Yeah, we'll
Hello.
see. Like, I'll try to see and try to like explain in depth during the classes or time allotted. If not, so maybe we'll need to plan, one day where I can take you an hour or 2 hours of class. Like that, maybe we need to plan because I don't know it's possible to cover so many disorders because now though I'll be starting with the disorders. Okay, and every disorder needs when we are talking about disorders, I have to explain the signs and symptoms, then explain the different causes. And yesterday we talked about models, isn't it? So when we are talking about causes, I have to explain causes from the point of view of every model. What does the biological model, how that biological model explains, for example, anxiety disorder occurs, and how psychological, under
Madam,
psychological, yes.
excuse me, madam,
And
I have got a small doubt. What is the criteria or what is the basis of classification? See, yesterday we have touched classification. What is classification? How it is simplifying, like in botany, flowering plants, non-flowering plants. In zoology, chordata, non-chordata, something like that. Then, what is the here in psychology? What
I
is
told
the
you now the
basis?
criteria is signs and symptoms.
Science and symptoms. Okay,
The
thank you.
criteria we see usually for physical illnesses, you would be using lab test, brain imaging, all those testing. But we don't have those external validation. So our classification system for mental disorders is based on psychopathology. Psychopathology means signs and symptoms.
Acha. Okay.
Okay, so that is the
Okay, thank
criteria
you.
we use, signs and
Thank you.
symptoms, and also the duration. Okay, just because a person is feeling sad for, for example, just because a person is feeling, what you can say, sad for a week or 10 days or something like that, you cannot go and give the person a diagnosis of depression. 1 day, 2 day sadness, everybody experiences, isn't it?
Yes.
So
Yes.
we
Yeah.
have, so the criteria is signs, symptoms, and also the duration is also very important. Okay, so at least for 2 weeks, at least for 1 month, like that, very clear cut criteria are mentioned. So if the
Okay.
person is not satisfying those criteria, you cannot give the person that diagnosis. Hopefully I've answered your question.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. I
Okay.
understand.
So I want all of you to do one thing. I think we'll have to, anyways, from what I can observe, and we'll have to plan some extra class, 1 hour or 2 hour. Okay, so we'll go normally, and then we'll get an idea how much we need. Second is, tomorrow I'll be starting anxiety disorders. Okay, I know you don't have much experience, but as you have gotten a soft copy, just go through it fast. Okay, just
Okay, ma'am.
have an overview. Just briefly have a look at the chapter.
Okay.
Okay. Okay,
Okay,
so
ma'am.
that will help you to understand and also come up with some doubts or questions, because that's what I can do, I feel. Hmm? Okay, so if it's possible, we'll plan. If it's needed, we will plan an extra class. Are you all okay with that?
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
However, we have not yet started the fourth subject. So, uh, maybe 1 or 2 classes extra with the fourth subject is okay for me, I think. Not, I cannot say whole,
We'll
but
see how it goes. I will try my best to, finish within these days, allotted days only. But
yeah.
the way, see, my plan was to start anxiety disorders today only. Yesterday, I thought I will finish classification. But see, not possible. It's not happening, because if I have to teach you, I have to teach you in a proper fashion. I cannot just like yesterday hurry through things, because that is not how I work. So let's see. We'll try our best. Otherwise, maybe 1 or 2 hours. Anyway, we
Yeah,
can do
sure.
that.
No issues.
Okay.
Okay.
So read
Ma'am,
up on anxiety disorders. Yeah.
actually, without opening of that link, we didn't attend yesterday and day before classes, madam. How do we get the classes?
I have no idea. I think you need
Mhm.
to connect with the administrators, maybe talk to them.
Okay.
Okay.
Uh, the link
Okay.
is not open for most of us, most of us.
Uh,
That's the
I think
main
I'll be
reason.
cut. Automatically, I get cut off also at 9 o'clock.
Okay.
So,
Right.
just connect with the administrators.
Okay. Okay.
Maybe they can help you out. Uh,
Okay.
that's all I can do, because I am just a resource person, so I don't have much information into this.
Okay. Okay, man. Thank you.
Yeah. So all of you read up on anxiety disorders. Okay. Read up, not
Okay.
read up, just have a glance